Hello, folks. Welcome to the first official podcast of the Raven Investigation Paranormal team, the Raven's Roost. I'm Clint.
I'm Dave.
I'm Matt.
I'm James.
Today's topic is going to be pretty much the skepticism and personal experiences that we have witnessed, as well as the what-ifs of certain subjects in the paranormal field. So feel free to enjoy. So I literally have no personal experiences in a sense.
Nothing, not even like on an investigation.
Because this is the real side of ghost hunting. Nothing actually happened, and we try to make something out of it.
What's nothing?
Oh yeah, EVPs, but I thought it like a personal experience before.
Oh, you.
That's what I thought you were shooting for.
Yeah,
like
that's
before experience.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
I ain't got shit before.
Nothing. So what drove you into doing it?
To prove that there was something here.
But you never had an experience for something to be proven.
Yeah, but I'm saying like personal experiences before getting into paranormal shit. It was more of like an idea to see if it was actually real or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I can't say like I saw a light in a TV when I was younger and, you know, that's my personal experience. It's fucking.
I went into it because I had experiences. But now that I've like done investigations, I like more skeptical than anything.
Like skeptic.
Like I believe what I've seen is real. Like that happened to me.
What about you, James? What's your story?
When I was a little kid, I had a few experiences based around a piece of furniture in my parents' house, and I would find myself literally hiding underneath it in my dream, and these ghosts would appear. And as like I got older, I had a few like experiences like in my parents' house and stuff like that growing up as a kid, and kind of like the cliche TV stuff. I wanted to just kind of see if it was legit or not.
What happened?
Like almost more like a like kind of ghost reoccurring dream kind of situation. So it was hard to tell whether it was actual just dream or if it was a legit thing and I was actually fully conscious for it. But it was like a pair of ghosts would come out of like the closet door, like not like open it, but physically phase through it and would pick me up until I would like, stop freaking out and then pass back out again.
And like at that time, you weren't sure if it was like physical or a dream, or do you know now?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts now? Like
now, it's like I almost forget about it until people like kind of ask. It's like, oh yeah, I had this happen when I was a kid. Now I still really don't honestly have like a definitive answer as to what it is. Any investigations that I've been on, I really haven't felt that it's been any more tangible to what that particular scenario was. But having other incidences within my life happen, it's kind of like raised more questions than answers. As a time when I went to go see my brother at a hospital in Springfield, I think it was, and I went through the older wing by mistake, and I was getting ready to get onto the elevator, and I felt a cliche tug on my side at about waist level on my jacket. I'm like, okay, someone wants my attention. Turn around, no one there. So little moments like that keep kind of perpetuating the question of what is and what if, but really nothing ever answered.
Like, see, that's the kind of boat that I'm in. Is for me. I mean, when I was younger, it was the like typical somebody's tapping on the window scenario. Yeah. Like I lived on a third floor.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I was a kid. I heard tapping on the window. You know what I'm saying? It could have been a tree.
Yeah.
But I never put extra thought into it. Like, it was just a tree. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it. And how I was joking earlier about the light in the TV, like when I was younger, it just happened to happen across the time that the dude on the floor above me ended up dying. You know what I'm saying? So like a few days later, here's a light shining through a TV. But as a kid, you're like, yeah, whatever. It could just be the TV, some type of electrical issue.
Yeah, you don't know the magic of the television set. It just shows. You don't know how it works and all that stuff.
So like for me to get into like what we've been doing since 2012. It's more to like try to prove to myself that there is a connection from like our physical world to the spiritual world.
Yeah.
There has been times as an investigator where I was able to, I guess in a sense, cross over with something that gave me a little bit of leverage in the idea that, yeah, maybe this is true. Like with one of our cases, I was able to talk to the client's dad. You know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty accurate to say that it wasn't true. And with no information from her, I was able to pinpoint this dude's name. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, that gives me that little extra, like, yeah, all right, there is a possibility that there is a bridge that we can cross and connect it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. it's like the trail of breadcrumbs gets a little bit bigger, and bigger, and it fluctuates. I guess would be more the proper appropriate answer. Like where it's once you get a big chunk of information, it's like this is good, and then you're crumbing for a while. Then maybe you find a little bit something a little further down the road to kind of help fortify it.
Yeah, like we've been on a handful of cases, and honestly, like it's not like TV. Like TV glorifies that this stuff's real. Every episode something happens. Like for us, there's nothing really comes out. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing that you'd expect to see. Like on Ghost Hunters, like this happened. This fucking flashlight got thrown out of this dude's hand. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Us, it's more what's coming through the spirit box.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's no physical proof that something's here.
I had some, when we went in those tunnels. Remember that?
Yeah.
I forgot what they were called. That one time I was there with John, and I forgot who else was there. We were going to get one of the trail cams, and we heard footsteps coming around the corner from us. Like it literally sounded like someone was gonna pop up and be like, "Hey guys, we gotta go."
Was that the artillery tunnels?
Yeah. We were all the way at the end, getting checking the trail cam or whatever, and then we heard, the footsteps, and I'm like, oh yeah, someone's coming, and I look over and no one's there, and then that's when we radioed in, like, hey, is anybody else in the tunnels? And we were the only ones in the tunnel. Everybody else already left. So I mean, that stuff I believe, but
yeah, like the tunnels for us, like I heard shit going on in there, and it was just us. But also in the back of my head, it's like this place is a housing unit for the homeless. You know what I'm saying? So they may know certain like crevices to be in. You know what I'm saying? That we don't know about. So it's like another like, could it be this, or is it the people who live in these tunnels?
Those tunnels were like weird because like what he's saying, like the homeless people, and I personally when I was there, like I heard shit, but again, it could have been somebody from the other side kicking a rock, and it's echoing, or whatever the hell. But I don't think I've got anything on audio there. I don't remember. That was like our little test ground, but the footsteps, like he said, it also could have been like, depending where you were, it could have been homeless people. But like you said, it could have been like, hey, whatever. It could have been something, could have been nothing. My personal experience on the case was actually like, I had two. We went to the cemetery.
No, before that.
Oh, so my personal experience, why I got into paranormal was I don't know, you probably won't remember this, Matt. We lived on Plymouth Ave, Brown House, right near, I think it's
U-Haul, the U-Haul trucks and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't there at the time. It was like the Nasser Fruit Company right across the street from there. All the old pink houses. We all used to, me, you, and Mom, and the people that lived on the second floor. We used to go down the street to like Burger King and McDonald's and eat. And then on our way up coming home, we'd always see people in our third floor window, like walking around, like there were people in our house, physically walking around our entire house while we were walking up the street. And so I would run up the street to try to get us home as fast as possible and get up the stairs and get in the house, and there would never ever be anybody there ever. And it happened so many times. It was an insane amount of times. And then so that kind of piqued my interest. And then we Russell, Aaron, and used to sleep over too sometimes. So they'd come by and visit, and it was like late at night, and we'd always tell like ghost stories. They're the older brothers, so they want to scare the shit out of me because I was younger. You were the youngest, but I don't think you were. I think you were still like a little baby, maybe like 2 or 3. So I don't think you'll remember that much. They used to tell stories, so I used to be scared. And he always told a story about before a little boy would, before you would die, there'd be a little boy in your corner with his legs crossed, Indian style, and he'd have a hood on. And so I used to, in the middle of the night, wake up and I'd look in the corner, and it looked like there would always be something like that in the corner, like a little boy looking at me with his hood on. But I chalked that up to being, they scared the shit out of me. So that legit never happened. But then we always had lights turning on and off in the house. And then one time the old lady woke up under a coffee table with one of them rolling vacuums, tucked her head. Like she fell asleep in her bedroom. She woke up in the living room under a table with one of them rolling vacuums on her head. Blamed us. Somehow we managed to pick up my mom, put her under a table without waking her up, vacuumed her hair, and went back to bed. And went back to bed like nothing ever happened. And then the TVs used to go on, and it would always go to like a static channel. And then from then on, it always piqued my interest. And like on our investigation, we went to the cemetery. I forget where, Swansea or Somerset, a little church. And we set up our cameras, whatever. It was rainy. It was crappy weather. We're walking around the cemetery doing our thing. And then we're like, all right, we're going to wrap it up. But the weather's crap. We're just going to pack up everything. We were here for a good hour and a half. I get home. I take off my shirt. And then on my wrist is like a bite mark. But I obviously didn't bite me because it's a small bite mark. And none of these guys bit me because I would have seen it or felt them and would have like, what the hell are you doing? We went to the Gardner Mansion, and where that dude combusted, I felt myself burning up.
Like, who was it? James, I think you were there with us.
Did you go to the Gardner
Yeah, it was
Mansion?
me, Dave, Julia, you, and Hope.
That was the one in Garner, yeah?
Yeah.
And
Okay,
remember the
yeah, I
room
remember that
that
one.
the guy spontaneously combusted in?
Yeah, the bedroom, wasn't it?
Yeah, Dave ended up on the floor,
Yep. Yeah.
and he could feel his body heat, and we had on a temp gun that his body heat raised a few degrees.
Those are like my experiences. I mean, when we're doing cases, a lot of times it's like who we're with. Sometimes their reaction scares the shit out of us because we're not expecting it. We had the one where we're in the basement, and what's her name came running, like screaming towards us. It was like we were like, what the fuck is going on? And it was because of a fucking mouse.
Well, no, there's no proof it was a mouse. You know what I'm saying? What happened was we were in the
She
basement.
said it could have been.
It could have been a mouse. I seen a black mass big enough to be, a mouse or a rat. But one of the girls that was with us, dude, she broke into hysterics, man. I'm talking like she charged at us, she shoulder blocked me, dude, almost knocked me off my feet. Like, but she was bawling her eyes out. You know what I'm saying? Like crying, hysterics. It lasted, dude, like two hours of her just feeling like completely negative and sadness. You know what I'm saying? Like she was like, I seen a black mass, and you could hear it move. You know what I'm saying? Which, points more to the idea that it could have been a mouse, but there was no like physical proof that we could prove that it was. But you could hear it move right into the next room, and it sounded like it moved up. But yeah, man, that like put her completely out for like 2 hours of just being like sad and crying and shit. It was insane.
Now we got to set something else up.
I mean, Matt, you said you were skeptic. You know what I'm saying? Like same thing with you, James.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a believer.
Like, don't get me wrong, I believe that there is something, but I don't think that there's valid enough proof, that someone could say, hey, here's the valid proof ghosts are real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everything is like for me, I'll use myself as an example. Everything that I have like felt or been part of, you know what I'm saying, is more of a mental standpoint than a physical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, like hearing your name. I've gone through that 1,000 times, like hearing my name. And you turn around, there's nobody there. Physically, I think the Gardner Mansion, I forget what room it was. It wasn't the room where he felt, or was it? I was holding there was a spirit box and a recorder at the time. And it looked like something came at me and went through me. The only other thing over there was the basement. We were sitting on the fucking chairs. And there was that hidden underground tunnel.
Over in the right hand in the back corner.
Yeah, and it felt like something kicked the chair that I was on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Those are the only physical things I've ever, and I can't prove that was a ghost that did it or a spirit.
Right.
Those are the only things that I've ever experienced in the sense of like a physical encounter. Everything else, it sucks, but it's like you rely on the spirit box for your evidence.
Yeah, some kind of digital validation for something. Yeah, physical evidence is very, very hard to get, Much like when I was home one day, I was making a sandwich in the kitchen, and it felt like somebody had taken their finger and wrapped it as hard as they could against the back of my head to get my attention.
Yeah.
I looked around behind me, nothing there.
That actually happened to me in this very apartment you guys are in. I was doing dishes, and the wall is like far away where you can't like lean forward and like headbutt the wall. But that's what I thought I did. I thought I headbutt the wall and a nail or something hit me in the head. But like I tried recreating. I'm like, what the fuck? But I felt something like smack me right in the head.
Yeah.
I couldn't recreate it unless I went like on my tippy toes and like pushed forward. That was like the only thing I felt like at that place. Mystic Street was the worst for me.
Why? What happened there?
Dude, like there was so many. I would always see people walk by the door. Like if I was sitting in the parlor, just watching TV, I'd always see people walk by the door like a foot, and I'd think it was you going to your room. Like one time, I swear I heard the door shut. You walked by the door, and I'm like, Dave. So I got up, I go, and I see you walk into your room. I'm like, Dave. So I ran into your room to like, hey, and you weren't even in the house. I'm like, I'm home alone, so I just turn around, go back to the parlor and watch TV. I'm like, what the fuck? There's a lot of stuff like that. I'm trying to think if anything else happened there. You remember we had that Ouija board there?
Oh God.
Yeah, as far like I thought that was real. I don't know if that like any of that shit was real.
Yeah, didn't we throw it out the window and it was like under the table?
Well, yeah, we were sitting. You said you brought it home and we put it in one room, and then we're just sitting eating ice cream or something, and then we went in there and the stove was on, burning like a pot or something. So then we took it. You went to go grab it and it wasn't in the dining room. It was like in the parlor now on the side of the TV. So we took it and chucked it out the window.
Yeah, never again.
See, all right. My thing with the Ouija board though is like I feel like that's a fake thing.
No, it probably is, but if a spirit can lock onto any energy or anything that it's given, then maybe it can do that.
Yeah, I think the board itself is fake. The mentality behind it, I think, is real. Like for instance, if you're using a Ouija board and you're trying to contact like any spirit, you're welcoming that spirit into your vicinity. Like you're asking for something to show up. Like I can understand that part. Like, but the game board itself, I don't think it's like a housing unit. Like, hey, this board game will bring spirits to you. You know what I'm saying? I think it's more the person than the board itself.
Right. There's actually been a scientific study with the Ouija board, and a group of 12 people, I believe it was, they went into a house and they basically decided they were going to create a spirit, give it a fake background and everything, and they built it. And then later on, as they attempted to contact it, actually were able to get similar results that you would get on a case, but they don't document it as like fraudulent. It's like, in other words, like what they were able to almost do is mentally fabricate physical manifestations of the activity that a ghost would do. Like they had their hands on a table in a circle with everything in front of them and everything, and they could get that table to rock and move and stuff like that as doing part of the research, kind of proving that maybe the spiritual side of it is not so much maybe actual spiritual, or more or less based on the theory that it's more mental. Like when we want to see a ghost, we can actually project it because there's something in our psyche that allows us that we just can't rationalize it and it becomes ghost. I wish I could remember the name of the show because it obviously would explain it a lot better than I'm trying to do right now. But it was actually pretty interesting.
I ain't fucking with a Ouija board ever again. I don't even think we ever even opened it up to use it.
It was from Gil and like his cousins. We just took it because they were throwing it out. We're like, oh, we'll take it.
Yeah, well, I don't think we used it physically.
No, I don't think so.
Not that I can remember. Here at this house, we only hear like voices. That's what no. But I was sleeping the other day, and Sarah came in the room. She's like, "What did you want?" And I was like, "I don't know. I was sleeping." She was like, "Oh, I thought you were in the kitchen talking to me." And I was like, "No, I was in bed sleeping." And then we hear like sighs, like it'll just be us watching TV, and I'll pause it, come out here, grab a drink, go back in the room, and then before I hit play, we'll hear like somebody sighing out here. Who's sighing?
It's just James.
Usually, that's what I do.
James just shows up in my house, sighs, and leaves. Hell, no, he's doing that in my house. But that's it. But that's all I get here. I didn't get anything when we lived on Mystic Street. Most of it for me was on the Ave. And then
I do remember some of the Ave. Like I remember me and the little girl on the other, what was it, downstairs or whatever.
Yeah.
Went looking for her sister. I don't know if like she was really there, but we were like looking in the room for her sister, and we're like, "Where are you?" And we just heard "Get out." So me and her looked at each other and just ran out of the room. I mean, it could have been her sister in the room, like hiding or something. I think they had bunk beds. That's pretty much all I remember.
Never really had anything on Mystic Street except the Ouija board. Other than that, and then just here, but nothing major. On investigations, I only had, like I said, the being bit and becoming a zombie, and then the mansion.
That's not true.
I didn't become a zombie. Oh, what, the headaches?
Yeah.
That was you too?
Well, see, that's the thing, though. Like, I actually, like, not much anymore. Like, a brief understanding of, before I get into that. We went to Oak Grove Cemetery here in the city. And we were with a medium. And she directed us to, stay away from any natural-made archways, stay away from the old side of the cemetery, and stay away from the mausoleum. And for anybody that's like familiar with Fall Rivers, Oak Grove, the mausoleum is one of the biggest points of interest in Oak Grove besides Lizzie Borden's family area. However, we decided to go over there anyways, even though she told us not to. Now, at the time, wise, I'm not saying mediums are a joke, but I had a hard time understanding, how can you prove that a medium's telling the truth? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, for me, it was more like a learning experience. Like, I don't believe this, but let's see if she can prove to me that, like, she can connect to the other side. And a part of her proof happened to be around the mausoleum. We were walking by, and, I've known Dave and Matt for fucking, 13, 14, 15, something years, dude. So if something happens to Dave, I kind of take it for, like, it's a real situation. And as we pass by the mausoleum, Dave drops to his knees. You know what I'm saying? And he's got a really bad headache to the point of, like, migraine pain. I felt it too, but back then I would have like a migraine issue. Like, if I didn't drink coffee, I ended up with a migraine for the day. So to use myself as a valid reason that, I dealt with the same thing Dave dealt with that day, I can't prove it. But it was enough to knock him on his ass. You know what I'm saying? And I went to him to help him get up because he couldn't do it. He physically could not get up. And as we're doing this, the medium's ahead of us. And she says, you need to bring him across. The way the cement worked, it was the old road of the cemetery to the new cement of the new cemetery. And she's like, he has to cross this line. If he doesn't cross this line, he's going to be in pain. Sure enough, we bring Dave across the fucking line, and he's fine. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think at it as it, like, Dave lied to me about this. Like, he put on an act, you know what I'm saying? Because I trust his word, especially for what we're doing. We're trying to prove, that there's some type of paranormal experience going on. So, yeah, like, that was one of the things that blew me away. It was something like that, to see physical something happen to somebody I know, that's a check mark. Like, okay, that might be real. Let's put that down. But yeah, man, like, she was telling us different stories about a little girl that lives in Oak Grove. She's a spirit, but she's not a little girl. She's like a trickster. It was, were they grave crawlers? Which are like, or night crawlers? Some disembodied spirits that, like, crawl around the cemetery. Like, she's telling us that she sees these things. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, like, if this is real, these people are looking at things that, like, they would come off like horror movie. You know what I'm saying? Right. She's saying she can see spirits just lingering, in a sense of, like, deadites from, like, Evil Dead. It's the best way I can explain it. It was like half-bodied things crawling around. But I personally, I never seen that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, maybe she's lying, or I just haven't seen anything like that before, so my mind's not ready to understand it. You know what I'm saying?
The headache. And the shitty part is, like, you feel useless. You're just like, you can't do anything, You're just stuck there. You can't get up. You feel like shit. And now when we still go sometimes, I still get headaches. And sometimes I follow them to get where it starts getting worse, because I feel like if I'm going that way, I'm going to get something. Why else am I getting these damn headaches? And it's still almost around the mausoleum.
Yeah, last time we went, there was, like, no issue. We were even looking inside the mausoleum. Like, we were putting our cameras to the, like, little cracks in the doorway and whatnot. But other than that, I think I had one other run-in, which was weird because, actually, there was two. A few years back, they put out that Lizzie Borden series. I think it was on, like, the History Channel. It was the very first one they ever put out with Christina Ricci as Lizzie. It was a terrible fucking movie. And we ended up having our website at the time, so we were doing a live chat. I wasn't paying attention. Dave was in the chat. And I guess this lady came through the chat, and I think her name was Maria.
I don't remember.
And she saw a picture of us, actually at Gardner Mansion. It was us standing on the porchway. And she singled me out of everybody. And then Dave's messaging me like, hey, you need to get on the chat. This lady's talking about, you. So I get in the chat, and she's talking about how they love me. Like, they love your energy. They're attached to your energy. I never understood it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that mean? What does that mean to me? who loves my energy? Like spirits, like I'm a conduit of energy for these things. Because then there was no, like, I never had the proof to say that it was real. And that just threw me for a loop because, like, we were new into the situation with, like, the paranormal research group. I never put face value to it until afterwards. I worked at Walmart and I was at the yogurt wall. It was like yogurt and like dairy products. And these ladies literally came up to me. Like one lady came up to me first and she's like, I need to do this. And she grabbed my arm and she's just sitting there and she's like, you don't feel that? And I said, feel what? Like I never met this lady before in my life. And all of a sudden, dude, I got goosebumps that just literally go from where she grabbed me up my arm. And she's like, they love that. She's like, you're giving off such an amount of energy right now that they'll come to you and they'll talk to you. And I'm like, laughing because we just started the paranormal group. You know what I'm saying? I was like, that's a coincidence because like I'm a paranormal investigator. And we started talking. Dude, next thing you know, this lady has a twin sister. And she comes running right at me and she grabs my arm. And the sister's like, you felt it too, didn't you? And she's like, yeah, I felt it. She's like, as soon as you touched him, I knew. And I'm like, dude, this is like trippy shit. And they were telling me all about, you know, how they deal with, like, they can see spirits, they talk to spirits. A quick little conversation about that. And then they went on their way. And I'm sitting there like, what the hell just happened? And my buddy,
for a second.
yeah, like my buddy Zach, he worked with me and he was behind like everything. And he comes up to me after they left and he's like, dude, that was the weirdest fucking shit I have ever seen. And I was like, you're telling me, like, I'm the guy getting grabbed by these ladies. Well, you know, being faced with something like that, like, for me, it was like, man, there's gotta be some type of connection. It has to be. So it's more, that's more of my push to be like, how, like, what can we find to prove that, you know, there is a connection. There's something here. Other than that, like, which brings us to like our now time with this paranormal stuff. Last few cases, there's nothing. Because you're going off the sense of these people are telling you the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're there to prove and like debunk what they tell us. That's the way I look at it. Is, you know, hey, I have the spirit that like watches us when we do this. You know what I'm saying? And if we do a case and nothing comes up, you know, what do you do from there? Like, we have no proof that happened. There was no reenactments of that for us. So it's like, is this person telling you the truth? Are they making this up? Do they suffer from a mental situation, you know, that haunts them? And that's the shit that goes through my mind as an investigator. I don't know if you guys deal with that too.
Never really done too much here, but I can understand that scenario where, you know, it's like you kind of wonder if you're not getting the evidence you want, do you offer to come back and, you know, kind of do a reshoot, so to speak, or you do, as you said, you do question the person's mental stability. You know, is it stress induced? Is it medication induced? You know, is there something toxic in the home? Like, you can go through a home with an EMF detector, and if the wires are too bare in the power box, that can set off a thing that will actually give you the feeling that you're being watched and things like that, you know. So it's like those are little things afterwards you can take into consideration, considering you have nothing else to fortify their claims.
Yeah. And then any time we are on a case and something does happen, we try to debunk it ourselves. Case in point, when we're at that case in Dartmouth, and we seen the eyes in the window, and then we lined up everything, and it turns out it was just infrared light reflecting off the window into the cat's eyes back onto the window, or whatever, something like that. But we debunked it ourselves. Or if we take pictures and we see something, we try to take it again and be like, okay, there has, you know, was there something there? Was there not? We try to take a couple of pictures. We, you know, if something goes off with the spirit box, the K2 meter, we're like, hey, let's try that again. Did I shake it? Did I do this? Let's put it down. So we always try to debunk ourselves because we already know once we put any evidence anywhere online, anyway, it's always going to be questioned. Oh, it was a rope. Oh, you used fishing.
Right.
Oh, it was this. So if we do it ourselves and then put it up like, hey, we debunked it ourselves, then I think people will take it at face value, where they're like, all right, these guys are clearly being honest. If they're showing us shit where they could have been like, oh, this is a ghost in the window, and it turns out it was a cat. We could be like, there's no way in hell that like ghost adventurers and taps get that much evidence everywhere they go. We barely get anything. We'll be somewhere for like a million hours and get nothing. And all we get is like maybe spirit box stuff with some EVPs. And the picnic table just got thrown across the room. And then and then you got Zach freaking out because the Dybbuk box or some shit like that.
But he gets possessed. What are you doing to me? Get out of my body.
Yeah, right. He gets some dust particles in his eyes. Now he needs to wear glasses. Like,
but for instance, though, like this topic right now is, how do we know he's telling the truth? And on the flip side, how do we know, that it's fake? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this dude actually going through this stuff, or is it because he has the money to be able to do this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I saw one of the videos with them was they were in a basement of some place, and you actually see a piece of wood go flying.
And a brick.
That was their first one.
But
yeah.
Now, did they plan that to cement them down as, hey, this is one of the first ever groups to actually have something like that happen? You know what I'm saying? Was it planned, or was that something that legit happened? You know what I'm saying? Like, with taps and all that shit, I feel like you have money. You know what I'm saying? Are you faking this shit? See, we don't have nothing. Like, we make no money off any of this. I think out of the whole time that we've done it, we got a $200 donation.
Yeah.
But everything that we put into this is from our own personal bank accounts.
I personally think it's not like the groups doing it. Like, I think Zach and all the people. I think Zach in real life is probably a douchebag, to be honest. I think the guys from Taps are probably really nice people, and I think like they're trying to be legit. I think it's more like the network. Hey, we need evidence. We need something. Like, we're not getting anything.
I think especially for the live shows, they probably had to do that, like make something happen.
Yeah, I mean, you want people to be watching for 8 hours, 12 hours. Something has to happen. So I think it's more towards the network, because we watched Zach Bagans' Demon House. I actually thought that was really good.
Yeah, the Demon House documentary was amazing because there's actual proof behind it, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you guys actually watched it.
I watched the trailer. I thought it looked more like a staged movie. Like,
all right,
watch it.
Take that concept, dude,
movie,
and watch the documentary, because I heard about the Demon House before Zach even got involved.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was following this shit because I seen it on the news.
Yeah, I was gonna say they put it on the news.
Yeah, like this house, they called it the house that housed 200 demons, and they weren't even saying ghosts. They went straight demons, and there was documented proof from Child Protective Services that these kids were getting abused, and they blamed the mom, and they brought these kids to the hospital. And one of the documented papers from the DCF worker stated that she watched one of the kids get dragged up the wall of the hospital. There's a doctor that signed off on it and everything. Like, there was some freaky shit going on in these people's houses. I think it was the doctors that had proof, DCF that had proof, and one of the cops. I think it was the police chief.
And then one of the he opened the doors, like he just got the house and he just got the keys. And a lady that lived there when she was younger, like many, many years ago, asked to take a tour of the house. And she was with Zach saying, this was my room. She had I think it was 3 kids with her.
Yeah.
3 kids with her. I think they were her kids. And one of them, I think the son was kind of a little freaked out about the house. And he was like, I kind of want to leave. So they end up leaving. And he gets a phone call. I think it was like a couple of days later, or maybe a day later. One of the daughters tried to kill herself. And they basically blamed the house, and I think they took her to get an exorcism. I could be wrong on that part, but I think they went and took her for an exorcism.
There was something to do with an exorcist in one of the kids, but that could have been from the original family too, though.
Yeah.
But Demon House, man, that was a cool documentary to watch. At the end, they send you for a twist because something personally happens to Zach in the house. Zach thinks he sees a goat demon or something like that.
12-foot goat demon. He actually gets a text message before he buys a house about it.
Yeah, and he sees this thing coming towards him in the house, and apparently it was enough for him to have to get these prescription glasses because he ended up cross-eyed because of it.
That was, yeah, that's what happened in the house.
Yeah, but it's like that part right there. Like, is there more proof to that, or is that something Zach, the icing on the cake for anybody that's a Ghost Adventures fan? Like, oh my God, Zach had another personal experience. Can that actually happen? Like, can a spirit scare you to the point where your eyes are stuck like crooked? These are the things that set me for a loop, because it's like, did that really happen, or is this again Zach claiming that, oh, now I wear these glasses because my eyes are crooked for what I've seen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I actually take the Demon House more legit than I would do Ghost Adventures, because Ghost Adventures has that name, and then it has whatever channel takes them. I don't know if it's Travel or Sci-Fi or I Travel, whatever. They're like, all right, this has to be big. So that's why Demon House is just Zach Baggins. There's nobody else. None of his other
there
crew.
is other people.
Yeah, but none of his other.
I think one of the guys he had to send away, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't like his Ghost Adventures crew.
No.
It was like a whole new crew, and like it was just basically it just wanted to be him. And then I believe somebody else comes too, goes to the house to check something. It was like a scientist. He was drawn to the house by something, and then he's taking a tour, and Zach like wants to kill this guy while he's in the house. Zach wants to just kill him, and like Zach has to like walk away, and then he comes back, and then like he feels like he wants to kill him, and the guy's like, I gotta go, and like the guy ends up leaving, goes back to like California, and he's been in the hospital ever since because he's got something wrong with him that the doctors have no idea what's wrong with him. And there was another guy, a cameraman, that I guess they went to a hotel, and like Zach goes out of his room, and the guy is like flipping the fuck out, like screaming and like punching walls. And he's like, I gotta go back to that house. I gotta go back in there. It's fucking with me. He ends up firing him off his crew because he's going ape shit. And like the guy's never been the same since. He's got like 666 tattooed on his hand all of a sudden. And like his friend was on the crew. His friend's like, he has not been the same. He's like into drugs and everything. He's like a complete different person.
Like, he threatened to kill Zach and everything. He wanted to kill Zach. The house told him to attack Zach and all sorts of shit. But if you watch Ghost Adventures, one of the prominent things that always happens to the crew is someone gets this negative feeling where they need to attack somebody. You know what I'm saying? That's never happened to us doing anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never had the feeling like I gotta kill Dave because, a spirit told me to.
Not yet.
I felt awkward, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's been times where I felt tired or, like, not angry, but annoyed, but nothing to the point where, like, I need to walk away because I'm going to hurt you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, that to me, sometimes I feel like that's for show. That's a signature move that Zach has. It's like, I had to walk away because I got angry. Like,
I mean, like I said, I think it's just the networks. Like even if we were gonna be on like a network show, I wouldn't want to change anything. I'd be like, listen, you can cancel this because if we don't get nothing, we got nothing. Don't air the episode.
Like, I think it's more realistic being a group that's actually searching for something and not finding it than always finding something. I think that's the point of being a ghost hunter or a paranormal investigator, is you're willing to go the length to find nothing for years. You know what I'm saying? You're testing everything out, and the chances are you're going to get majority of nothing, and once in a while get some little breakthrough. You know what I'm saying? But nothing like you see on these TV shows. Like, it's
Right.
like every one is a breakthrough. Like, this guy talked to a spirit in a morgue, and I don't know.
But they also do. I mean, we go to someone's house. It's like what, 2-3 hours, maybe 4 hours.
Well, we've done like 6-7 hours in some places.
Yeah, but these guys, they can go as many times as they want.
Yeah, and they could do overnights. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Why? They have money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think for Lizzie Borden, in order for us to go in there, we have to rent out the entire place.
Yeah, and that's not cheap.
No, it's not.
It's $1,200.
And for what? The chance of not finding anything? Like, we're gonna spend $1,200 to sit in a house and not find nothing. You know what I'm saying? That if I had $1,200, I'd do it just to be able to add it to the files of shit we've done. But you know what I'm saying? Like to scrounge up $1,200 for the chance of finding nothing out, like it's not worth it to me. You know, not slandering the house, just saying like in a perspective.
It's like wildlife. Like, you know, you want to like, I'm going to go out and shoot an animal, you know, pictures or whatever, you're hunting. Either way, there's no guarantee you're going to come running across that animal. You know, you're in their kingdom. You may not see that tiger. You may not see whatever it is you're shooting. So you can go to a haunted house and you could still, it could be reported haunted for like the last 200 years. You can go there and spend a week there, have nothing happen. But as soon as you leave, suddenly someone gets a picture of a silhouette in a window. That's like undebunkable, you know?
Yeah. Valid points. Like, the worst thing though is it's happened to us 4 or 5 times where we've had people contact us because they want their house investigated, and they come up with all these claims like, oh, I'm being dragged across the floor or this and that, and then like we do all this research into the property, and then ask them all a ton of questions. We give them the date and the time, and then nothing. They cease to exist all of a sudden. It's like, stop wasting time. Because one, we don't get paid. We have to do all this on our spare time with no sleep sometimes. Or sometimes we stay up super late, go to work, come home, we have kids, dogs.
Like this one client, she led us on right on to a date and then just disappeared, stopped talking to us. Like, hey, I'm going through all this stuff. She had a child, so we, you know, if there's children involved, we're more involved into the case. And, you know, we're on board. We're on board with this lady. We're taking down her information. We're doing the research for her. Just for her to say, oh, you know, we can't do it. Go to reschedule, and she doesn't answer it. She doesn't exist anymore. You know what I'm saying? So you come across shit like that, too, where it's like you have a story. But when you have people coming to investigate that story, all of a sudden you don't want anybody there. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? Are we going to prove that your story's wrong? Like, for the record, I'm not saying that people don't experience these things, but there's more of a chance of someone lying to you to the point that they know, like, these people are going to come into my house. They're going to see things for themselves that, you know, we might be lying. But I'm guaranteeing there are thousands upon thousands of people that deal with some type of spiritual, you know, entity or connection in their lives. So I'm not saying that it's fake. You know, we still got a long ways to go with this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and everybody lies here and there, but it just sucks. Like when like real investigators put their shit out on YouTube or whatever, and it's some of it's really solid evidence, and everybody's like, oh, that's fake. It's like, why? Why does everything we show have to be fake? Like I can understand if you watch Taps and like you're like, oh, well, that's fake. Some of it, yeah. Some of it you can clearly debunk as they're doing it, like the one where he's the cord on the table and like it's moving and then like it's because he's pulling on something or whatever the hell. Some of that shit you're like, well, you're kind of doing that yourself, even if you don't realize you're doing it. Maybe your foot's on the wire, some stupid shit like that. But I've seen some stuff where on YouTube I'm like, wow, that I personally don't have something. I can't really explain that. And I mean, maybe it's green screened or computer generated. I don't have skill or technology to go through any of that crap. So I just have to assume. But some of it you can watch and you're like, wow, that's fake as fuck. Like this whole Dear David thing. I don't know if you guys know about that. At first I was kind of like,
well, give it an explain it a little.
So this dude was like, he works for BuzzFeed in New York. He, I guess, was having a dream about this boy with a crushed head, but not all of it was crushed. It was caved in, just like a corner of it. It was weird looking. And his name was Dear David. And I guess you could ask him 2 questions. You had to say, Dear David, and then you ask a question or whatever the hell. And he was asking questions, and he was always posting it on Twitter. Like, hey, I had a dream. Hey, I can't sleep. Hey, my cats are acting weird. It was like at midnight, they'd always be at the door meowing or some shit. And then he was taking pictures, and it was like, this is what it looks like on my phone. This is what it looks like on this camera. And it was all, some of it was weird. And then like he took pictures all of a sudden, like he was sleeping, and he said he was taking pictures of this actual Dear David boy in his house. And the pictures look legit. And people were saying it was fake. And he kept they were staging the house and whatever the hell. Like I said, he had a good job for BuzzFeed. All of a sudden, he just disappeared. He quit BuzzFeed, sold the movie rights, and disappeared. Like, you don't hear anything about this guy anymore. So, was it legit? And then it was like, oh, I can make a lot of money off this, or was it made up the whole time and he was just building it up to where he didn't let anybody investigate his house, he didn't interviews, nothing, and then like I said, he just quit his job, disappeared.
Like this dude, Matt, if you're looking it up,
Yeah, got all the tweets. Right.
yeah, his name's Adam Ellis.
Yep.
And he's famous for one of the current comic styles. Like he's an illustrator and he's a creator. Like for me, wise, I was intrigued by the story of Dear David, but after knowing who was writing it, you got a guy with a wild imagination who does all these like funny comics and draws like a son of a bitch. It kind of threw me off. It's like this dude's an illustrator. You know what I'm saying? He creates things for a living. Like that's how he makes his money. So is this true? You know what I'm saying? Did this guy actually do this? Is he just making a story to latch people on? Then on the flip side of that, it's like here I am saying this guy's a liar because he's an illustrator. But does that help your cause? You being someone that can create a story, would you put this out for people to fuck around with? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this guy's a liar. He's fucking drawing this stuff as we're going along.
There's a lot of like, it's called basically like, I forgot what it's called, but they create stories on like Twitter and stuff that you follow.
Yeah.
And like at first it sounds real, but then like you kind of like listen to it, and it's definitely like fake, but it's like out of this world. One of them was this guy on Twitter says, I just woke up, all the lights are out, all I have is this cell phone or something, and then it goes on like a bunch of different posts of him like, yeah, there's someone just staring outside my window and blah blah blah. It just keeps going on, and then I think it's called ARG.
I think you're right.
ARG, yeah. Alternate reality game, I guess, is something like that. So
like it's like the creepypastas and shit.
yeah.
Like they're fake. They're created by someone. Like Slenderman. Slenderman's a creepypasta. Yeah. All of a sudden now you got these kids claiming that Slenderman's real. He lives in a forest and he tells them to kill people. Smiling Jack's another one. Like these kids are saying they see this Smiling Jack character in their closets and whatnot. These are all creations by somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I feel Dear David also fits in, because it's a creation from someone with a crazy imagination who has history of creating stories and creating comics and illustrations. So to me, I'm on the fence with it.
Did you say he had pictures of it? Like
yeah,
I see pictures of like chairs.
Yeah, if you look on the chair, it'll be like a little doll that looks like a kid.
There's nothing on that chair, the green chair. There's videos too. Watch the chair, he says. Oh, it starts rocking.
Interesting.
Just search Dear David images.
That's okay, it worked.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like you got like Kurt Cobain shirt on.
Maybe that's why half his head's missing.
But the thing, like, they're so fuzzy, except for like this one, I guess, where he circled it. It's like.
Yeah, but he said he took those pictures while he was sleeping. Like he doesn't physically remember taking those pictures.
Oh, you see him in the bed in the picture you can see him sleeping in bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, every story has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, when that first story, the first ghost tale happened, where there are people like us who's like, oh, this person's a writer or whatever. I mean, obviously technology is way different from then now. Like then it was like you just put on a gown and you're a ghost. You cut out some holes in the poop. Now we have all this green screen and CGI and makeup artists.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could turn you into a ghost in like 5 seconds on film and have you walk through a room and you could be completely see-through.
Yeah.
So I mean, the opportunity for fakery is there, and it makes it even harder to validate a legit claim. Because looking at these pictures, some of them almost seem like the proverbial holy grail. It's like they're a little too clean, they're a little too crisp. It's like I'm seeing way too much information here for this to be just a regular, non-corporeal, non-bodied entity. It's like it's almost a little too tangible. So yeah, I could see easily where that would raise questions along with the way the story's played out.
Yeah, the story's compelling and awesome, no matter if faking or not. It's pretty good. I like it. I still trying to read it because it's been going on for so many. I think it was like 2 years. I'm so far behind.
I didn't watch it straight from him. There's a girl on YouTube that she goes through like the whole thing in a few episodes on her
Chloe
YouTube.
Lane?
I think so, yeah.
Chloe Lane.
And like just some of the stuff that she comes across, it's like this dude was given like gifts from David, like marbles and whatnot. Things that he heard moving around upstairs. It's compelling, it's intriguing, and that's what pulls people in. But I think there's too much nowadays. There's too much room to create something, and people just believe that.
Right.
Still looking.
Let's look up other things, just random stuff, ARG or whatever. Creepy. I watch a lot of
Creepypasta one right there.
I watch a lot of creepypasta stories and like actual like disappearance stories, just like weird ones like the M Cave. I don't know if you ever watched that or heard of that.
No.
Yeah, the M Cave was what was the guy's name? Kenny Veach. And he used to have a YouTube channel where he would just tell like hiking stuff. And then one time he's like, "Oh, I found this cave that was the perfect shape of an M." And he was like in the Nevada desert. And he was like, "But I felt like a lot of like vibrations in my head and it started to hurt, so I left." And he makes a video, like people are in the comments like, "Yeah, like go back, find it." He's like, "I'm gonna try and find." He has a video of him trying to find it, and then he made like a comment on his last video of, "Hey, I'm going out now. This is what I'm bringing. I'm gonna go find the cave." And people are saying like, one guy says like, "Oh, don't go. You don't want to know what you find there or something. Just whatever." But the guy went missing and nobody's ever seen him since. His girlfriend left a comment saying, "Yeah, he never came back home." They found his cell phone at the top of like a mine shaft where he, in this previous video, he was standing at. But people think either something happened to him, like government, or he killed himself because he was in debt and depressed. So, but it's just I watch a lot of weird stuff like that. So stories like Dear David and stuff. I've heard a lot of stuff like that. So that could be fake, and it's just entertainment. Because a lot of people like to hear those kind of stories, but if you don't know it's true or not, you're just entertained on the thought that it could be.
Like I catch myself sometimes going through YouTube and just watching a lot of urban explorers, and a lot of them they end up doing investigations into random things like tunnels and houses and whatnot. And it sucks because like a few of them I actually enjoyed watching because it would just be them and a camera and a recorder. You know what I'm saying? And they're doing things. And I noticed as they became more famous, they started implementing certain things. And it's like, dude, you're faking your stuff.
Right.
And like I can call it out. Like you've never had this shit happen before, and now, you're faking it. Like don't do that shit, man. Like you made your following by doing the right thing. And like he started meeting certain people that I've watched on YouTube that actually fake their shit. They do it. Like they it's an entertainment value, like you said about like a lot of the creepypasta stuff. And this dude gets roped into meeting these guys, and the next thing you know, he's hiding like a cell phone, and that cell phone makes a weird ghostly noise. And it sucks because you can see these people getting trapped in that idea, like, well, if I'm gonna get anywhere, I gotta start throwing in like clickbait, which is a big thing on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Anything's clickbait now. But it sucks when you're watching someone that's doing paranormal investigating and they fall victim to the clickbait era of YouTube.
Hey everybody, this concludes episode 1. We thank you for taking time to listen to us ramble about skeptic views and our take on the current media culture of the paranormal field. Stay tuned because we plan to pull off another episode within a week with a more detailed setup on a new topic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.